Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, February 17th, and I hope this finds you well. I know if you're down in the Houston area, this is not finding you well, and or how the storm is working. It's driving me crazy. How the storm is working its way across the country. Wow. I mean, wow. So I hope that you're safe and sound, and probably a lot of you that might normally be here are not here. So our prayers and thoughts and well wishes are with you because this is just unflippin' believable. So I know a lot of you have, well, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do today. We're going to do Karen Kay Buckley's Perfect Stems, and I had never used them before, and I've discovered some things about them, and I think they're pretty darn cool. So we will do that in a little bit. Now, I got a beautiful voicemail. It got forwarded from Brandy by one of you that wants to know, when are we getting back to the Birdhouse Quilt? Well, we are in the Birdhouse Quilt. What I'm doing is I'm just going through all different ways to do applique, and I am going to talk about threads. I am going to talk about raw edge applique. I am going to talk about stitches, and I even pretty sure I know how I'm going to have not how I'm going to quilt it, how I'm going to have Schweiker, Diane Schweiker quilt it for me. So I'm not, it's kind of weird because it's not like do step A, step B, step C. It's like, it's kind of, we're doing a waltz here and moving around. So maybe a lot of you are ready to go. And I am just dying that I can't get in and look in the forum and see what you're doing. Margot sent me a picture from her long arm group of one of the quilts that showed up on their feed, and it was the one with the gecko lizard. So we've all seen that one. But again, I kind of foolishly blew it by not getting images before we went down, so to speak. But being down is your good fortune because, well, for those of you that aren't members, because we have some various shows for you for free. And if you are a member, I thank you for your understanding and patience. It's going to be well worth the wait. And it's always funny on Wednesday. I guess we've been down now for a week and a half. I don't know. And John and the people have meetings Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it looks like things are truly going to be there. And the bottom line is that it's supposed to be done on Friday, not for you guys, because then they're going to get in there, John and everybody's going to get in there and just test the you-know-what out of it before we go. And then on Monday, they can fix the little hiccups that we have, and then hopefully Tuesday. But it's looking really good. And when we go into it, I know there's going to be issues. One person wrote, perfect, I'll wait for perfect. In the world of the web, there is no perfect, okay? It's, as Rosanna Dana said, it's always something, right? So I am, okay, if you are of the Grand family, our friends, just turn it off right now, okay? You don't need to see what's going to happen right now. So Wendy and Warren, we have been friends with them since we were first married. I mean, we were in the same apartment complex and all that. They've got two girls, and they call us auntie and uncle. And I mean, we've seen these girls grow up to absolutely beautiful young women. Well, Allison was the first one to get married, and I threw her a beautiful shower. Well, if you ask me. And made the baby a quilt. Mermaid was the theme. And now Laurel is expecting in March, and I just can't wrap my brain around a quilt. I know some of you will understand and some of you won't understand. And also, these kids are professionals, all right? So they've got everything they need, etc. So I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a little girl for the baby J Grand. And so I'm looking for a monogrammed hanky with a J. So the first thing I talked to Wendy, Grandma Wendy, and she was looking through all her stuff. She's mailing me some hankies, and The one I would love to use is severely stained, so I'm waiting to see if that stuff will take it out that I talk about, the antique stuff I've talked about. And I'll tell you what, I'll take pictures of before and after. But I went to the local antique store, which is the Blue Door that's open, and they don't have a lot of textiles, and I was looking for a G or a J. Okay, so I didn't find a G or a J, but I did find this one, Pinocchio. See, I'm done. I don't know who's gonna get it, and I don't know if they're gonna be insulted or not. But I thought that was hilarious. And I always go through the store once, find out where the textiles are. And again, Rondi, they don't have anything, so I wouldn't run down there. She's in Livermore with me. But then I came across this tea towel that is scotch and soda. Oh, I just love that. And being that half of me is Scottish from my mom's side, oh man, this had to go home with me. My guess is that this probably went out, it was made probably what, in the 40s, would you guys say? So those were my two finds. So then, chronological order, I call Wendy. She's going through all her stuff, and she's going to ship me some hankies. She's got a ton. She loves, she's an old soul, and she loves things from the past. So while a lot of people are trying to go, modern and this and that, I want my hankies. I want my table linens. I want all that stuff. So laugh out loud, the scotch and soda. I know, is that a find? I think it was only $6. I couldn't believe it. So I got hold then of Cindy and Robin. And I said, do either of you have a G or a J? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch the Cindy Needham show. Go watch it. It was extraordinary. So Cindy goes, yeah, I got a bunch at home. And so this was the first one she sent me. It's absolutely beautiful. I wouldn't quite know how to quilt it. Not quite the hanky. And then this, okay, that's masculine. A little boy, Jay, his first name's Jay. And okay. And then she sent me this one. I love it, but it's a boy. So speaking of that, across the street, they're expecting, like, the baby was due, I think the 13th of February. And there's nothing worse than someone saying, well, is it here yet? Is it here? So what I'm doing is I look out my window, and if I see a strange car in front, I know they're in the hospital, because that's Grandpa and Grandma there babysitting. Baby Caroline. Okay, then when I saw this one, bingo, that's what I want. So Cindy, bless her giving heart, popped this into the mail into me yesterday, and I can make it this weekend. I'm going to do an oval wreath around it. Oh, I know exactly how I'm going to do it. And I'm going to look into some of the linens that I have collected, and I'm going to do an underlayment of blue or something. Oh, but back to, I'm going to give that as my gift. We're doing a Zoom shower a week from Sunday. And then I'm going to give money for a college fund, okay? Because as I mentioned, these are professionals. They've got everything they need, and if they want to use it to do something else, I don't care. But I know for my grandies, whenever it's a Christmas or a birthday, I give them something to open and then money for college. That's how we roll here, us Andersons. So let's talk about Karen Kay Buckley's technique. I am doing now 3 cameras today. So my God, crud. John, something bad just happened. Okay, wait a minute. Go down here. I'm assuming you can see me. Oh, we got a letter from somebody saying that they thought that our camera skills and everything have gone down. I know they're talking about this right now. Our shows are spectacular, but you have to remember these puppies are live. And right now, I am the director, the talent, the producer, and the 3 cameraman. So that's the beauty of life. Okay, I'm confused. Do I applique down the birdhouses and then put on the roof and bases? I would. Good question, Yolanda. Let me let me answer that right now because I know I'll forget, to tell you the truth. I know none of you do that. What I did was I logically looked at the order of applique. So I put these on here, and then I probably did these little guys and then slid in the roof and then come around here. Look at it as layers, what's farther back and what's pushed forward. And I will be talking again about the stitches I use on my machine and all that kind of stuff. So good question. Good question. Let me see now, which is this one? The one I want. All right, on Monday we spoke about how to use these metal rods. And I use these metal rods especially if I'm doing things on the bias. If I'm doing things on the bias, it makes me nervous to pull it through something. And maybe it's just because I'm not a trained professional, all right? So Karen Kay Buckley, and her work is spectacular, has come out with these perfect stems. And in them, this package comes all of these different sizes. The one I'll be demoing on is a 1/2 inch. And when it comes out of the package, on it, it's all curled up. And I thought, okay, well, what happens when I do this? My iron's not completely hot. But I ironed it. It's not hot all the way. And it went down. Trust me, it will. Just that puppy's got to warm up over here. So what Karen does is she prepares it on her machine. Let's take a look at the foot that she uses. This is on a Bernina, a number 5, and I think it's called the blind hem foot. And you can see it's got this little flange right here. There, let me turn it. Right there. And so I think it's blind hem. If not, one of you will correct me. I know it. And what you'll do is you will put it on your machine, but I want you to look. Let me see how close I can get this. I gotta get in the light. Let me see. Yeah, this is our good cameraman at work. And by the way, I understand if you thought this was the real show, you'd go like, what the heck am I paying money for to watch this lunatic do her thing? Okay, right in here, okay, you can see the flange, but then this in here is your needle nest goes down right there. Now on my machine, and then this flange goes up against it. I had to adjust my needle position just a little bit, but this is the foot you're looking for. And I don't know if most machines come with this or not, okay? But that's what you're looking for. Let me put this down. Is it down? Yes. All right. So the next thing, and I found this with the next project. Let me go back up here to this camera now. Our next project, which I'm working on, I'm so excited about, I can't stand it. We're using Madras cloth, all right? And in doing the Karen Kay Buckley way, and I can bet you dollars to donuts it would be this way too, it kind of rippled a little bit. Now, I was able to adjust it when I ironed it, and we'll iron it in a moment. But what I would suggest is if you're when you're working with fabric, well, yeah, compared to wood, you may want to just go and put a little bit of sizing on, or starch on it. I am using the Acorn Precision Piecing. It does not have a scent to it. And what I would think about doing, and Karen does have a video on this, Karen Kay Buckley, on her site. I'm showing you how I did it. So what I would do is I would just put a little sizing on it. If it were this Madras stuff, I would put a lot of sizing on it. And the beauty is that you can layer it up with this Acorn product. And then what I did was I take this fabric and I iron it. I find myself a little crease. Okay, and what size did I cut it at? Let's talk about that. The stick that I'm using is a quarter inch. Let's measure it. Yeah, a quarter inch. You know how I am with my math. So you want it to cover on both sides. So you would go to an inch. And then you need a 1/2 inch seam allowance on each side. So half. This puts me to 1.5. I added another quarter just to give me something to hold on to. So you take the measurement of the stick, double it, add a 1/2 inch for your quarter inch, and then another quarter inch. Or I'm gonna say that's how I did it, all right? Then what you'll do is, you're wandering in here.
You were saying 1/2 inch instead of quarter inch.
Oh, this is a quarter inch.
Yeah, when you were doing your count.
Okay, now wait a minute, John. See, no, this is a 1/2 inch. So let's roll to the other side, so that makes it an inch. And then you add a quarter and a quarter for your seam allowances, and then I add another quarter. So I've cut it at 1 3/4 for this 1/2 inch. Whoops. So now I have ironed it. I've thrown a little of this acorn product on it. And I want to show you why I would use this and not the metal rods. Let me get this way up here. Dial it in. Maybe I'm too close. I bumped. I bumped onto it when I was stitching, and my needle did not break. It went through the plastic. Here's another one. And then what I did was I just went in and clipped those threads and then carried on. If I were using the metal ones, you know exactly what would have happened. The needle would have gone flying. So I am doing this in the dark. I want you all to understand. So here we are. That's a good angle. And what I'm going to do is the opens on mine, because the needle goes to the left of that little jag I talked about. The open side, the raw side, is going to be to the left. And so I'm going to slide this in, and I just realized this is going to be tough with this camera here like this. But I'm going to slide this in. Get in there. All right. It's butting down to here. That's the thing. Shoot, how is this going to work? I'm going to go under here, and I'm going to put this little guy straight up against the plastic thing. Before I take off, right now, I'm going to make sure I'm not hitting on that plastic thing. And I would slow your speed down a little bit. And then I'm just going to keep feeding it. And work my way down. I just found to have, shoot, this is tough, you guys. Get in there. The camera is smack in front of my sewing machine. There we go. The tighter you can get that stitch, the tighter you can get against the rod, the happier you're going to be. And again, if you make a boo-boo, you're probably going to be okay. But look, I am not like I'm at a horse race. I am taking my time. I do not believe that Karen starches until after the fact, but I found when I was working on our next project that I did get a little rippling because I am sewing on the bias. This is a bias strip, that by adding a little starch, it makes a difference. Now, if it's a real long strip, no big deal. You just pull the tubing down and then just keep going, all right? So let's go take a look at what we have going on over here. All right. So here we go. If this were an itty bitty, let me see, how am I going to say this? Okay, Karen trims off this raw edge here. What I care about is that it just doesn't stick out from the other side. So what I would do now is I might even throw on a little more starch. Whoops, this acorn stuff. And Karen suggests that you don't use steam because, oops, I pulled it out a little bit too much. Okay, back it up, back it up, back it up. That's what's so great about live. That little guy got stuck there. Okay, I'm gonna go like this. I'm trying to now dry the starch, and I wanna make sure the stitching is on the back side where I can see. And again, Karen trimmed, but Karen also did it on a really small rod. Here we go, this, and I'm gonna turn it over. I can still see it's a little damp there. This is something good to do when you're, watching TV. You just keep ironing. If you have adjoined strips, you might have like the little triangle thing hanging out. Well, you'll for sure want to cut that off. Okay, I'm going to do this. My little acorn. I'm getting a gallon of it. I can't wait. I think this was a sample I got at market or something. Whoops. And so I just used my little spray bottle, my travel spray bottle. But I'm going to get the really cool one. Go like this. And just get that puppy dry. Oh, see, it's still a little wet there. Oh, and by the way, these, even though they're plastic, they can get hot. So be careful. And you know how I know that. Okay, that's not too bad. And then I pull it out. And absolutely beautiful. So again, if you're going to move on to the next project with me, of which I'm almost willing to share, and we're using this madras, I probably layered about 3 layers of this stuff on here because this stuff moves like no tomorrow. But look at this, it's beautiful. And then when it's, let's say I'm going around a vine on the outside, like I just might be doing that, go like this. And of course, this wouldn't work on straight grain, right? I'll get in there. And I might use a little starch, not starch, spray. But anyways, it will mend for you beautifully. Ouch. It's interesting. I can't say that there's one product that I love over another product. So you can see my vines over there. Hint, hint. There's not one product that I love over another product as far as how to make these things. I think it just depends on what you're doing. If you're going to choose to do raw edge applique, you don't have to do any of this prep stuff, all right? You could just do it, and I'll show you that in I don't know, next week. I got to talk to Mary Kay and figure out the order because basically, again, I want to cover threads. I want to cover how you hand stitch for finished applique, how you machine stitch for finished applique, how I machine stitch for fusing, the 2 different basic kinds, and how I machine stitch for fusing. So those are what I need to cover, and what I'm trying to do is get a whole comprehensive unit together so that when people want to learn something, they can go and then look at the technique on this play card and go from there. Okay, John has a nice little, okay. Any problems with the acorn on my pressing mat? No, not at all. Not at all. But if you're ever worried about pressing mats but I'm not, okay, let me back up. I'm not sitting here spraying 10,000 hours a day, all right? But if you're ever worried about your pressing mat getting funny and the acorn does not leave stains and things like that, you can white cloth down or something like that, but it doesn't leave gifts that keep on giving. That's one of the cool things about it. Okay. I appreciate how you cover all the different methods. Thank you, Rooster. Rooster Quilter. That's cute. So let me tell you what's going to play out today. So I'm very excited. At 2 o'clock my time, I am going to get an interview with Wendy Williams. Right now, she is sound asleep. It will be 2 o'clock my time, and it will be 9 o'clock in the morning her time. She's down under. And she, as you know or don't know, she designed our block of the month for this year. And I'm so sorry right now that you can't access it, but don't worry, you can. And people will write us and say, I want to just buy the pattern. I don't want to be a member. It's a perk of the membership. So for, whatever amount, you get this as a perk of the membership. And no, you cannot have the whole thing at one pop. It's our block of the month. And Barbara Black is shepherding us through the whole thing, which is fabulous. So I'm going to do that interview. And then on Friday, I did an interview with Shelly and Bernie Tobish, who designed these wonderful products for us. But he has a new book coming out that's fabulous. And I actually learned something from them after we got off the interview, and I will probably show it to you, but understand you'll be doing this at your own risk, because it's something that I can do on my Bernina. You can't on the 880s, but I was pretty darn impressed, and Shelly showed me a way to do applique, machine applique, that I had not seen before. I didn't even know my machine had these functions that you could fiddle with. Okay, when you attach the roof to the birdhouse, before you stitch it down on the background. Oh, I see what you're saying. In other words, do you attach it and then stitch it down? I don't think I did it that way. I think I did it layer by layer. But the bottom line is you can do whatever you want. It's just a matter of understanding there's an order. So like, for instance, this had to go up first, then this had to go, and then this had to go, right? Because this one's tucked underneath here. So you just have to think about the logical order of the whole thing. All right, I'm looking. She's also the best scissors ever. Karen Kay Buckley's, yeah. She has figured it out, okay? So here we go here. Let's see. Yeah, you can get all these things at the Quilt Show store. And let me go back a little bit. Where can I get the ruled mat just like the one with the needle on my that you can get that at TQS at the Quilt Show. It's called the So Steady. It comes in 2 sizes. Okay, so Karen Ray said she doesn't use any sort of starch or anything on her wool mat. Okay, she sprays it another direction and then goes down. Actually, that's a good idea, Karen. I like that. Have you ever tried the stem method where you machine stitch one side down 1/4 inch, then fold the other side and hand stitch it down on the machine and stitch it down? Yes. And what she's talking about is this. Yes, I have done this. My problem is I've kind of turned into a machine person, but thank you for saying that. I would have completely forgotten it. Let's take a look at that, and I'll show you what she's talking about. So, of course I picked the wrong one. So what she's talking about is, okay, let's say I'm not using the rod or anything like that, and this has not yet been stitched. You go fashion it around, let's say your vine or whatever. And yes, I've done this. It's harder to bend this bigger one, just as an FYI. And then you stitch it down, and then you bring it over. Now, one side has been done by machine, okay? And then this side can be done by hand and or machine. Actually, I used to do that all the time, and why I'm not doing it on my next project, I don't know. Maybe it's been so long since I've done one of these vines, but that is a perfectly fabulous way to do it too. There's just so many ways to do this, okay? So thank you, Lori, for that. The video is stopped. Appreciate you. Yeah. All right. Yes, the plastic is ironable. Yes, you can iron them, but you can burn yourself too, so be careful. Yes. with the acorn stuff on your pressing mat. Nope. Okay, so Mary asked, why don't you just sew a 1/4 inch seam and put the rod in and press? I suppose you can, but I love the fact I can do it on my machine. I love the fact, and it's because these rods are penetrable with your machine. In other words, if you run over it, where did the thing go? If you run over it, you're not going to crack your needle unless you're going like, you're doing it like a bat out of you-know-what. So I do take it slow. Okay, so on Friday, we're going to be with Shelly and Bernie. And then next, this is funny, I can actually see where I sewed. I got holes in this thing. What can I say? So I like these rods better than metal. Will you sell them? Yeah, we do have them in the store. We most certainly do. We do not have the metal one. We do not have the metal ones. So as I say goodbye, I have a very important PSA. Super, super important. And I want to share it with you, okay?